shopping on Amazon.
Ho ho holy crap everyone, it's Deep Dive Zone, a Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes talking about a video game? Bruce, Lauren, can you believe it's been 7 months since we reviewed a video game on this show?
We talk about video games on this show?
Yeah, I thought this was a comic exclusive podcast.
Yeah, I don't know, I forgot video games existed.
Even then, it was Sonic Jam on the Gamecom, so it wasn't exactly high art.
Does that count as a game, or does that count as high value torture?
It's a PowerPoint presentation more than a game.
True.
Well, tonight we are definitely talking about a real video game. Pretty sure it's a real video game, at least. We are talking about not a Sonic game. We've talked about things that are other than Sonic games before, but this is the first definitively not a Sonic game that we're talking about. We're talking about Nights into Dreams, a game that is made by Sonic Team, but not a Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Makes sense, you know. This was Sega's excuse to give us, instead of a Saturn Sonic game.
Yeah, this was made by, all of the Sonic regulars at the time in the 90s. So Yuji Naka, Naoto Oshima, and Takashi Iizuka. But it is not really like Sonic. It carries a lot of Sonic's energy and creativity, but it is a very different feeling game.
Yeah, I'd say very different is kind of an understatement.
And we're doing this for the Christmas episode, because we were talking about, what kind of specials could we do, what kind of Christmas episodes, and we said, oh, well, Nights had a Christmas version that changed seasonally depending on when you play, and that version even has Sonic the Hedgehog playable in it. And then we realized that the Steam version does not have the Sonic minigame on it.
Yeah, that's a shame. The Sonic mode is funny.
I forgot about the Sonic mode, so that's like kind of half news to me hearing about that.
Yes, instead we have Nights into Dreams, a score attack flying race loop thing. It's a very unconventional video game.
Yeah, I was trying to explain this to someone recently, because oh yeah, for the podcast I'm playing Nights into Dreams, and I was like, I'm not sure what genre it is, really?
It's hard to really narrow it down. I think race doesn't really feel accurate. Time attack, yeah, but that's generally a game mode. It's really hard to put down into words what genre Nights into Dreams is.
Yeah, it is a 2.5D acrobatic flying maneuvering game.
We call it a flight simulator?
No.
Only in the sense that, I don't know, do any of the Microsoft flight simulators let you play as Peter Pan? That would be a good DLC if they did.
With mods, probably.
This game, I think, takes a lot of Peter Pan inspiration, because Nights has this very whimsical outfit to their design, and of course, it's in the Dreamland, because they're in dreams, but they're flying with, two kids, which is sort of like Peter Pan. The story to this game is really finicky to nail down if you're not reading the wiki, and this is partially because the re-release for some reason does not play the opening cutscene of whichever kid you pick.
I noticed that. I forgot that you made a note of that on how to actually watch them, so I just didn't watch them.
Your note did not work for me, so I just watched them after I beat the game, because then you can watch them in the movie theater thing.
Yeah, so the story to this game is basically that you have these two kids, Elliot and Clarice, and both of them are suffering from performance anxiety for the most part. It's for the girl, it's like she's a singer, and for the boy, he's like a basketball player. And both of them go to bed at night, and they end up in the dreamland of Nightopia, where there's some bad stuff going on with they're having nightmares, and there's this nightmare lord who is called Wise Man that makes nightmares to steal aspects of the human psyche, I think, and that's what you're gathering in each stage.
Yeah, so I don't remember all the details, but that's basically it. It's your good old nightmare demon that's feeding off human emotions and wants to gain enough power to wreck the real world, basically.
Yes, and Nights is this purple, lanky, gender-neutral superhero figure thing, that you play as in each stage to basically just rack up a load of points.
Basically.
Yeah, so I kind of got flashbacks a little bit to Sonic Spinball because
Ooh,
literally
yeah.
I'm just like flying around all over the place. The game is like making all these bings and bongs and numbers are flying and it's like you did crazy combos of like I don't even know what I just did.
Yeah, the main goal is that you gather 20 blue chips, which are the magic orbs. Not the other magic orbs, but the blue ones. And you feed them into these capsules that are holding idea, which are again I think the psyche pieces. And you got to get 4 of those in each stage, and each of them takes a different 2.5D path throughout the stage. And you just have to do it within a time limit. And you can fly in any direction, but you have a whole bunch of different weird little tricks and mechanics. Like if you loop around something, you do a paraloop, you can grab stuff from a distance that way, you can get more points that way. There's acrobatics that you can do if you fly through certain rings and press the triggers.
Yeah, I really like you can just use the charge to defeat enemies, but that's boring.
Right.
I like the paraloop because it feels like I'm doing acrobatics.
Yeah, the paraloop is fun. It feels right for the game.
Yeah, it's got a very unique and weird feel to the controls, where you make really wide turns most of the time. But it's weird.
Yeah, and like you said, it's 2.5D, so you move on a 2D plane most of the time. But some of the levels are designed with like branching paths. So you might see something in the background, you're like, how am I supposed to get there? And there's like a particular gimmick or something you have to interact with in order to get there, and that's kind of neat.
Yeah, there's I know in Beach Garden there's a few fountains, and at least one of them will actually launch you to like a different part of the track. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's like I do think that it has a lot of replayability, and the levels are full of secrets, which is good because this game is really short. There's only 7 levels. I would say that's also part of my criticism, is that I feel like I can't see a lot of the stuff around me, or I'm thinking it's on a different plane than it's on, so I tend to fly right through it or by it.
Yeah, I get that.
This is very much a game that you're supposed to play, a number of times to sort of master it. And I actually appreciate that in order to get to Twin Seeds, the final stage, with either character, you have to get, I think, a minimum C rank. So the game forces you, in order to see the ending, to actually, get some idea of how to do well in the stages.
Right.
Which I think if I wasn't forced into that, I would have just burned through it and not gotten nearly as much out of it.
Certainly that's true, and it's funny because, at the start I was thinking, if you've played the fan game Sonic Roboblast 2, the special stages in that are all night stages, and I thought that because I've played those, I'm going to have some idea of how to play this game, and that's true for the most part, but in that game, if you just run through the special stage, you get the emerald and then you leave. If you do that in this game, you won't get above a D rank. You have to do multiple laps through to get more points. And it's in that regard that I think that the design of the worlds makes more sense, is that, well, you can go back and check that on your 3rd lap or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, just the look and feel of these worlds is perfectly dreamlike and just, like, beautiful for a Saturn or PS2 game, even, whichever graphics you pick.
Oh, yes, totally.
Oh, yeah.
You've got all these weird creatures and stuff, and there's one stage called Softy Museum where the ground is literally like warping like a gel or something.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I think I said the same thing about Knuckles Chaotix, and strangely I have similar feelings between the two games. The game just has amazing vibes.
Oh yeah, it's the lighting. They both have really psychedelic lighting colors.
Yes. Yeah, they both feel very vaporwavy.
Yeah, and great music, of course.
Oh yeah, the music in NiGHTS is excellent. It's honestly, to me at least, the best part.
The music is alright. It didn't stand out to me too much, even upon re-listening. Although I must say, like, the stage clear theme is so heroic. I feel like I've earned it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, the vibes, like Bruce said, are great. And the gameplay is, it's like, it can be hard if you're like not knowing what you're doing, but once you know how to get a decent to rank, which I didn't at first, and it took, a fair amount of trial and error for me to note it on the thing and tell you guys how to do it. Once you get it that way, it's like, okay.
So honestly, I feel like I had a bit of an advantage here, and I have no idea what I would have done without A, having experience from the aforementioned Sonic Robo Blast 2, and B, also Devin's advice from him playing before me.
Yeah.
I didn't have too bad of a time, but I feel like I would have had a pretty bad time trying to figure out how to get C ranks without that, especially since the game throws in like different weird gimmicks in the stages, like in Mystic Forest suddenly it goes top down at one point, which completely threw me off for a second.
Yeah, or
that was weird.
There's a sledding section in the snow level, there's a swimming section in the beach level where Knights turns into a mermaid, or a merthay, I guess.
The swimming section really threw me off. I had a hell of a time controlling it.
Yeah, and Wood Canyon or Rail Canyon, whatever the last level of Elliott's is, Stick Canyon, that's what it is. It has that like rail with the box on it that Knights get stuck in. I can't control that thing at all, but it goes on for a really long time, and it'll instantly throw you into a second one if you're not careful, which if you're running low on time, it's like, oh god, I shouldn't be at this time. It's like,
that happened to me.
Yeah, I also like in that stage where you get magnetized, and then suddenly everything is attracted to you, even the Nighttopians that have like this shocked expression on their face.
That was a cool, some cool flavor. No, is flavor the right word?
No, I think that's perfect. There's a unique voice to each level and boss and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the bosses yet. Maybe we should get into that. I really enjoy all of them. It's a nice change of pace. In the levels, I feel stressed out because, there's the time limit and stuff. By the way, if the clock, starts coming for you, because you have to, transform into Knights, and then you only have that for, 3 minutes or something. When the clock starts ticking, it is panic-inducing. It's like Sonic drowning music.
Yes.
Yeah, it has this low droning that slowly gets louder as you get closer to the limit.
But the bosses are a nice respite from that. They're timed, but if you run out of time, you just lose. So much more straightforward. But yeah, lots of fun characters.
I agree for the most part. I think the bosses are fine when you know how to fight them. If you don't, some of them can get really cryptic.
Yeah.
Right. So again, I had your chips, so I just knew how to hurt all of them. So I can't say how I would have done if I didn't.
Yeah, the tips, I feel like to an extent this game either requires a lot of replay or some kind of guide.
I think it's, part of it is that we're timed for this podcast. Maybe if we had more time to experiment, it would just happen. But I do think that the fact that if you lose to the boss, you have to replay the stage might be part of it.
Yeah,
but it's like terrible. I didn't know how to fight Gilwing, the first boss, because I would, run into his chin, wherein Knights tears his head off and throws it, which is awesome.
Yeah, that shocked me.
But it's like, that makes his tail shorter, but you can't immediately see that because you have to do it a lot of times to beat him. So it's like, it would make me think that I was doing something wrong, even though you just have to do it a lot.
Right.
But, sometimes they're a lot more straightforward. There's one boss that's the fish in the big tank, and you just have to launch yourself into him, and that one's no trouble.
Yeah.
I really like Puffy, the beach ball opera singer. That's perfect for a dream enemy, because that's just ridiculous. And they don't even fight you. You just bounce them around.
Honestly, I think that might be the fight I had the most fun with, because it feels like something that would happen in a dream.
It's a weird one, but I like that boss too, and not, I'd say pretty comfortable on the difficulty, most of them. I would say that the boss of Soft Museum, Jekyll, the guy with the cape, that guy gave me a lot of shit the first time.
Yes, that one was a massive pain in the ass.
Yeah, they're the only one I actually lost to. However, I have to love them because I love any boss that just laughs at you as you fight them.
Yeah, that's a fun thing.
Well, and I love his design. This game is perfect for, jester core. If you're a clown enthusiast, this is maybe not it's not quite like full on clown because there's no, like clown noses or floofy hair, but jester core, perfect.
Yeah.
Juggalicious.
Delicious.
Why did I just say that? Yeah, so, and we also get the anti-knights. We get Riala, who is a preview of Sonic Adventure 2, because he's Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah?
Yeah, so this is once again, like, I wouldn't get the story unless I was reading the wiki, because when I got to this boss, which I didn't read the story until later, then they, like, talk to you at the beginning in, like, the weird dream language, but they say knights, and so I'm like, oh, hello, it's like, I found you, Faker, or something. But I didn't know what was going on. And apparently that's like a reveal or something, because all along, Knights was actually one of the Nightmare, just like the rest of them, and they just turned good, betrayed Wise Man or whatever.
Well, and I think there's something about how Wise Man was originally a human or something, which I don't know how you turn into a spiky tentacle face monster, but...
Yeah, so Wise Man's fight, I love it. It's awesome. Tons of hands throwing meteors and tornadoes, and there's storms in the background. It's just over the top. I love it.
Yeah, the stage leading up to him is anxiety-inducing because the timer doesn't reset when you get break each capsule, and you're playing as the kid, so you're trying to free knights, but it means that you can't paraloop because you're not technically knights.
Mm.
It's not too hard or anything, but
the end confused me because you have to like break the balloons for blue chips, which I didn't realize you could do. But otherwise, that stage was super easy for me.
Yeah, and yeah, it's weird because it is all in dream language. I think Wise Man talks to you a little bit as well, but I don't remember what he says. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But yeah, it's a very surreal thing because it feels like you're peeking through a window into something that is more written, if that makes sense, but it just doesn't quite explain itself. And I'm wondering if that's, maybe on purpose. Maybe
probably
maybe just the hazy nature of dreams is, not meant to give you everything.
It's probably something like that.
It depends on if the story was revealed in like, the manual or in those Knights comics or something, or if it literally was just pieced together by the fans. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, I haven't done a ton of research on everything surrounding this game. I know there's a sequel on the Wii that got very mixed reception, and that one has, like, actual voice acting, so that could be great or terrible.
Huh.
I mean, voice acting other than Beadici Noa Knights, whatever the fuck that means
right.
when Riala says it. It's funny, if you go look up Riala's theme on YouTube, which I suggest you do because it's a great track, all of the comments keep saying, what is Riala saying? And most people tend to interpret it as, there is no knights, which doesn't make much sense either, but...
Yeah, for some reason, Riala actually has two themes, because there's the regular fight theme, and there's actually like a 2-player versus or something, and then it gets a remix in there.
Yeah, you gotta paraloop each other.
Yeah, that was an interesting fight.
I will say, that one, like, it seems like it can go either really annoying or be over in like 5 seconds, depending on just how Riala moves if you just go in circles.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because I read your tips and I was like, oh, this will be an easy fight, and I ended with like 5 seconds left. It was so crazy.
I don't think I was that close to the wire, but I was also pretty damn close.
So then there's just kind of the rest of the game is, well, I guess we talked about most of it. I guess maybe we haven't talked about every single boss, because what is the last one? What am I forgetting? Claws. I'm forgetting the cat with the mouse fireworks.
That was kind of an underwhelming fight.
Because he doesn't really attack you. You just have to defuse his fireworks.
You have to disable his method of attacking you, so...
well, we didn't go sequentially through anything, but yeah, there's lots of little things here and there.
Sure. It's kind of hard to talk about all of the little things.
So I mentioned before that it's really weird. You don't like get to play as the kids hardly at all in the game. such that it doesn't even feel like I'm choosing a character. I'm just choosing a set of stages.
Basically. Well, and most time when you're playing as the kids, it's like you don't really want to be playing as them.
No, it's a punishment.
Right.
But I do like in the final stage where you try to go to Knights and then then Wise Man like knocks you back and says something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actual words. And then you're just stuck on an island, and so you just have to jump in a pit, and then the screen, the camera follows you as you fall a little bit into the abyss, and then there's just a pause, and then suddenly you fly up into the air, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I know, it's that moment where it feels like the emotional climax to a story, right? Where it's like, oh, they fall and you think they die, but oh, they come back and they can fly and it's wonderful. But it's like, I don't have context for any of this.
Well, it's like the kids never needed help. They had the power in their own right or whatever. But then Knights helps them too.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, for a game where the setup is that these are, in part, I think, kids fighting their inner demons.
Right.
We don't really see a lot of that, so it makes it really just surreal to try and interpret it.
Yeah, kind of. This game definitely feels like its story is not really meant to be interpreted.
Well, I'm not sure that the story, literally just the story, has much room for interpretation. I think it's fairly simple. But I do know that there was a lot of actual research done into like Dreams for this game. So like, the characters and the lore and all those elements. I think there is actual depth to those. Although I couldn't tell you a single thing. But the regular kids, the main game story, it's not even narrated, but for some reason in the Christmas Nights thing, they did decide to narrate the story so you couldn't miss it. Where it's like
I love the
star. There's no star.
I love the opening cutscene because it's like it's just the star on the tree, on the Christmas tree that is missing. But the fact that the voice says it's the one thing missing from Christmas, and they don't tell you immediately what it is, and I'm like, is this game gonna talk to me about Jesus?
Oh no.
It didn't, but what's really weird is that the game is just it's uneven in terms of cutscenes because it gives us, well, I mean, I guess we have the pre-rendered intro cinematic at the start of the game, but the fact that we don't get the intro cutscenes for Claris or Elliot in the remaster, I'm pretty sure in the Saturn version they're still there, I want to say.
Right. Maybe
even in the PS2 version, I don't know, but we don't get that. But then each of them has a fairly lengthy, ending cutscene where they get up from bed and, go do their thing. And I think in Claris's ending, they even meet each other in real life, but not in Elliot's. And then Christmas Nights has this whole long intro. So I don't know, it's like, it's a very weird pace.
Definitely. I feel like they kind of wanted to dress it up in some way, but maybe they could have let the story elements cook a little more. I mean, I think, to be fair, I think a lot of the games at the time weren't heavy on story.
Yeah, unless you were an RPG, your story was going to be pretty bare bones.
Or made by Hideo Kojima.
Okay, fair enough.
not that I want a version of Knights with as much fucking dialogue as Metal Gear Solid.
No, but I want Hideo Kojima to write the lore. Well, none of it's actually in the game, though.
Listen, we mentioned the Archie Comics adaptation of Knights, and apparently, like, the first arc of that, the first 6 issues, is, like, a relatively normal interpretation of the game, and then the second arc takes place in the real world, and has, like, terrorists and the military trying to capture Knights or something like that.
What?
Oh.
I'm serious.
You said you didn't want to do those comics, but I might just have to go read them on my own.
Yeah, I might go read them on my own at some point also.
I've never read them. I have no idea what they're like. I've heard everybody say that the second arc is stupid and terrible, but that
it sure sounds stupid and terrible.
As for Christmas Nights itself, sadly it is just a skin for Spring Valley with different music and different clothes for Knights. Apparently it will change depending on when you play the game. Like, I think it has a New Year's version. I know it has an April Fool's version where you actually play as Riala.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's nothing, like, new content-wise, but, I mean, I love snowy themes. I appreciate it, especially when there's multiple seasons, too, even. It's a nice touch.
Yeah. I can't believe they removed the Sonic minigame. You'd think that they'd, like, show that in the trailers just to get Sonic fans to buy it.
Yeah, so, you know the Sonic CD Japanese final boss theme? It has, like, an opera singer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, Puffy, the opera singer, is reskinned to be Eggman in the Sonic version of NiGHTS, and it has a remixed version of the CD final boss theme. It's perfect!
I really wish they included it. It's quality. And that's, you know, let's remember, that was the first time that Sonic was ever controllable in a 3D space.
That is weird to think of. But
Interesting.
Yeah, true.
And yeah, it is weird because you run around this, you know, version of Spring Hill, which the environments in this game, you know, they're good, but they are confusing even in 3D, just the shape of them. So in the Sonic minigame, you run around collecting the blue chips and such manually instead of playing as NiGHTS, which is like,
Right.
you can kind of do that as the kids already, but they're really slow.
I wonder
And the
if it's possible to just beat a level by waiting out the time and then do it as the kids.
I don't know, because I know that the alarm clock egg timer thing shows up after a certain point, and I think that can take you out of the level, but I never waited it out.
I didn't know what that thing was, so when it came after me, I kind of got scared.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly.
That's like the theme of this game, is that it is this big, weird, personal art project for Sonic Team that has no real explanation, but also does not ask anything of you other than to be experienced.
So the game, to me, feels a bit like a game that wasn't made, it just kind of came into existence.
Just kind of grew out of something.
Exactly, like it grew out of Yuji Naka's head or something.
Yeah, which is hilarious in retrospect because, you know, the canceled Sonic Extreme, as that was getting worse and worse as it was not being underdeveloped or failing to develop, etc.
Right.
Part of that game died because they were like, hey, Yuji Naka, just give us the engine from NiGHTS. We need it to make the game. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? And then they eventually just took it without permission, and then the game got canceled anyway, and a bunch of people got fired. And I will not harangue Yuji Naka for that one. He's been arrested twice now. Hopefully not a third time by the episode this episode goes up. But, you know, with this game being so idiosyncratic, it's like I almost don't blame him for being a little hostile to that request, because it's like, what? You make your own game, asshole.
Well, I think sort of the madness is very fitting of the theme. And overall, you know, there are many fun times. Just seeing, you know, all the weird stuff is entertaining in of itself.
It's worth playing it just for that.
Even if, personally, I know there's some people that are huge fans of this game. Personally, I wouldn't find a ton of value coming back and revisiting it unless I was, like, super into, you know, getting all the high ranks or something.
Yeah.
I think I get what Lauren's saying, where it is a good game, it is a really interesting and artistic game, and it is genuinely fun. It's not quite my kind of game, though. It's not really the kind that I would go out of my way to play, if not for we agreed to do it for this. What I'd really want is, I'd want a game that has this game's sense of style and atmosphere, but more conventional gameplay. And saying that is extremely fucking funny, because Yuji Naka and Naoto Oshima made Balan Wonderworld, which is this game's atmosphere and style with more conventional gameplay, and it fucking sucks.
I will say I'm glad that we did play this game together, because NiGHTS pops in a lot of Sonic games, so I was always curious what it's about.
This is really the perfect time to review this, you know, if not maybe right at the end of the classic era, but here when we've done all the classic games, the next one is Sonic Adventure, because NiGHTS embodies a lot of the Sonic Adventure isms that Sonic Team has rolling forward, and Sonic does just contain a lot of NiGHTS references from Adventure to Adventure 2, etc.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the look of the cutscenes, but when I saw it, I'm like, oh, it's this style, because it looks like the adventure cutscenes.
Right.
Yeah, the pre-rendered 3D, I would say, is probably the worst aging thing about this game, but I also kind of am charmed by weird, kind of janky pre-rendered 3D. don't think I have anything else. Do you guys have anything else?
One thing I have to say is just I can understand why, despite Sega pushing it as the killer app for the Saturn, this game would not sell Saturns. Or any console, really.
No, not at all. I was watching, or I saw a while back, a commercial from, like, the Fox box back in the 90s or something like that, where it's like, enter this contest to win a Saturn and a copy of Nights into Dreams, and it's like, it's a fun game. It's not like the big mainstream game. This is an art game. The Saturn was not a well-selling console. It was not popular in America. At least. It was in Japan, because in Japan they got all the games for it.
Right, all the good games. That's why most people who buy a Saturn, who want to buy a Saturn here, buy a Japanese Saturn. It's cheaper and has better games.
Yeah, it has Symphony of the Night. So yeah, I definitely get that judgment. But at the same time, this is the sort of thing that I wish that the games industry did way more, where it just latches onto one weird, crazy idea. And even if it's not my cup of tea, it's so unique that, like, you could have 30 fucking God of Assassin's Creed Field of Duty games, and it's like, I wouldn't care.
Evan, I think you just said every game that won an award tonight.
Oh my God.
Don't fucking reveal to people what day we're recording this on.
We're recording this on December 8th, 2022 at 9:46 p.m.
You're breaking kayfabe, you dick.
We'll see
if that makes it into the video.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The constant quandary. The struggle between something that is like artistic and unique and something that, will actually reach a wide audience and sell well.
Right.
And unfortunately, you have to balance both, or you get one night's game and then you don't get another for a while, and then people don't like it all that much either, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Journey to Dreams, so, it might be a great game that just was slept on by certain people. So maybe next Christmas we'll play that, I don't know.
I was slightly concerned that we were also supposed to play that one, and I didn't.
No.
Don't worry.
Yeah, that's not going to be happening for a while. Even if we do wait a full year, it'll still be a while, and I don't think we're necessarily doing that next Christmas. Maybe we'll do a different Sega game. Maybe we'll do a friggin'
We'll do Billy Hatcher.
Sure.
The default high scores are credited to Sonic, Knuckles, Miles, Amy, and Eggman.
Well, because that's Japanese. Tails is usually called Miles in Japanese.
You said that, but it still throws me off.
Okay. Sorry. I think we're running out of steam here. Let's call it there. Let's hope you have a Merry Christmas in 3 weeks after this was recorded. Thanks, Bruce, for making that fucking obvious to everybody.
No problem.
And thank you guys so much for watching and sticking with us here for 7 months of not playing Sonic games and almost a full year of this podcast at this point. It's not the 1 year special yet. Maybe that's when we'll do, Sonic Sex Simulator or whatever.
No, we'll do Billy Hatcher for that.
Thank you all so much for watching. And if you've got any questions, comments, or feedback, please share, comment, and subscribe on this video, or you can reach us at deepdivezonepod@gmail.com or at deepdivezone on Twitter. I hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas. I hope you have a Merry Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever winter holidays you've got, first perigee of the blood moon ritual, I don't know. And we will see you later today, I guess, because it's still a Sunday, so there's another episode going up for more comic book hell.
God help us all.
And may you have sweet dreams tonight.
Take care, everybody.